roll live today. We live. I'll allow them to come in a
Hello.
little bit. Hey, what's up, people? We're just gonna let y'all come in for a second before we get started. This is a very important topic that we're addressing today. It's been on my mind. You know, I had to kind of let it off. So hopefully, some of my people that are listening and watching today,
There's something on my mind.
yeah, we're able to
Won't
do that.
somebody please?
I'm trying to be
Please.
serious, Jack.
You're
Like,
just
really?
a fool when you know you in love.
I'm not messing with
Remember
you
from What's
today.
Love Got to Do with it?
Yes.
There's something on my mind.
Yo, like something is really wrong with her today.
I feel better. That's what's going
Came
on.
back in full of vengeance. You know what I'm
I
saying?
feel a little better. Yeah, I missed being here last week, but the show was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched it. Very
right.
good information.
Damn right, you better.
I did.
Better have watched
Yeah, I
it.
did from the bed. Hey, everybody.
All right, it's 6:05. We in here. Marisha says, "Welcome back."
Hey, Misha. That's my best friend from childhood.
Hey, best friend
Hi.
from your childhood.
I used to run away to her house. Now, you know that's a good friend. I used to run
Yeah.
away.
Yeah.
When my parents pissed me off, I would go to Misha's house. Her dad would bring me right back. About 2 hours later.
Wow.
Yeah, about 2 hours later.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Hey, you guys, it's Damien from the couch.
And
of
Jackie.
course. I wanted to do like the intro because
right.
you missed
All
last
right, go
week.
ahead,
So
dear. Go ahead.
you know, you just come in.
I'm ready.
You know, I wanted to give you a proper reintroduction
That's
to
nice.
our family because you missed last week. So again,
Okay.
guys, welcome to the couch where your mental health matters. Can we talk a little bit? Of course, we're turning our music down right now in the echo. Miss Dammit Jackie.
Sorry.
But welcome back, Miss Jackie. I'm glad to see your face. Glad to have your energy. We missed
I'm
you in
glad to
here
be
last
back.
week. You know, how you doing?
I'm better.
Okay.
I'm still got a little remnants of the flu, but I'm not contagious and I don't have the flu actively.
Don't be
right now,
passing
so.
those germs over here.
No, I spent quite a few days in bed, and I watched the show from bed, and I was out, back aches and fever and chills. I was in there like Ray Charles in the movie. I was up in there like, and then I was like, get these covers off me. I was like hot and cold. It was really bad. But I'm glad that you had somebody here that helped to inform the viewers on the topic that you discussed, and it was really a good show. It was necessary, and I'm glad that happened. And probably with the space and the information that she had, it happened the right way.
Yeah, it worked
I think
out.
that was good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it definitely worked out.
but I'm glad to be back.
Of course.
I can't stay away from the light and the camera too long now.
We're glad to have you back in the building, on the couch, in the studio, all that good stuff. So, of course, you guys think Jackie posted, on our actual page regarding the topic for today. We're definitely going to be diving into this Nipsey Hussle situation, RP Nipsey, for sure. But we're definitely going to be talking about the effects of trauma, secondary trauma, violence that plagues our community, and how it affects your mental health. So we're definitely going to dive into that. It's a serious topic. We're going to offer some insight in regards to how we feel like we can better serve our own community to kind of help reduce some of those things that are happening, as well as changing mindsets and helping people understand the effects of mental health and this ongoing cycle that's been going on for some time now, and it dates back centuries, decades, as far as violence is concerned. So this particular topic is definitely near and dear to me. Everybody knows I'm from Orangeburg, South Carolina, and you're from Chicago, kind of like the murder capital type
If you
thing.
didn't know Damien was from South Carolina,
Absolutely.
you do know now by the way he says South Carolina.
South Carolina, Orangeburg, OB,
In case you
for sure.
needed that information.
Yes, absolutely. What's up, Slim? What's going on?
What's up, Slim?
Shout out to the conversation. Slim is actually one of the hosts,
I'm gonna be
the
Damien
co-hosts
today.
on the conversation. He has some great dialogues. Definitely check out the conversation, 704.com. That was a shameless plug for you guys.
I see that.
For sure. I want some royalties off of that.
You're going to make me cough. All right, Damien. Not much fun today.
For sure. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into this trending topic. Like I said, rest in peace to Nipsey Hussle. That was definitely an unfortunate, situation that transpired on, was it?
Sunday.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And a lot of people who was touched by his music as well as his works that he was doing in the community was definitely affected negatively by his passing and how that all went down. So, for me personally, when I heard about it, I mean, I was shocked, but at the same time I wasn't, which is kind of strange. That's kind of weird to not be shocked when something traumatic happens. And I think that goes to show how desensitized we are in regards to just violence in general. But I wasn't, like I told you before, I wasn't very familiar with all of his work as far as musically, but what he was doing and what he was transitioning to as far as his self-awareness, philanthropy, just overall giving back to the community. That's what I was more so excited about. And when a life is cut short, definitely that affects everyone in the community, family, friends, and everybody within the music industry as well. So again, shout out to Nipsey Hussle, his family, his friends, everybody that's been affected by this. But again, we experience this on a daily basis.
Well, let me just say this. I really didn't know who he was. Okay? Right. I didn't know who he was. I don't stay in tune with, live television.
Right.
Because I have a Fire Stick for 2 years, right? I'm not watching BET. I'm not seeing videos, right? And then I don't listen to the radio.
BET don't show videos anyway.
I don't know what they do anymore because I haven't been watching them for 2 years. So there's that, and then I don't listen to the radio.
Right.
So how would I ever hear about what he's doing unless somebody says, oh, listen to this, or I see it on my Apple, my iTunes or something like that on my phone.
Right.
But basically getting into the secondary trauma and the whole topic of why we're talking about this, I was telling you before the show, I found myself scrolling Instagram like I was after Kim Porter died, and seeing his photo everywhere, and then interviews plastered everywhere, and then the pictures of him and his children and things, and it was hitting my brain waves to the point where I had to totally put my phone down for the rest of the evening. Now, we both know I didn't really do that in theory. I wanted to. Right. So it was like I had to keep turning it over to stop looking at Instagram because he was all over it. And I haven't seen that since Kim Porter died.
Right.
So when she died, as I was telling Damien that I was having dreams about her. So it was hitting me on a subconscious level, the trauma.
Absolutely.
And it's really sad and depressing. And you were saying a friend of yours?
Yes, actually a friend of mine, we were actually having a conversation, and the guy that she was in a relationship with, her significant other, was killed, from gun violence. So when she heard the news of Nipsey Hussle dying the way that he died, and the video that was plastered, actually showing the actual death, it re-traumatized her to where she became emotional, and the anxiety came over her, the depressed thoughts, all those things kind of presented themselves as a result of seeing the incident, in front of your face. And that's what we kind of want to get into today as far as the effects, of gun violence in general, trauma, how it affects you individually, as a community, and systemically how that is brought upon. Because violence just it really doesn't come out of anywhere, just out of the clear blue sky. You just wake up one morning, you want to do something to harm someone. There's usually some precipitating events that lead up to that, and situations and environments that lead to that happening.
Okay. Let me respond to this question. Yeah. So Elise is asking me, did it not make me want to know more? If you're asking, I think Nipsey Hussle, if I don't know who he is, and then this is what has happened, do I want to know more? Okay, so what I wanted to know is what he's been doing in the community, because like we were talking about earlier, I do think a lot of things are not coincidental. A lot of happenings, a lot violence is not just coincidence. So I wanted to look that up. So I've got my own feelings and thoughts when you get into the Dr. Sebi stuff, because I do know who Dr. Sebi is.
Right.
Because someone...
And he would be really upset with me right now with this Tahitian treat right here.
Yeah, can you... It's not in our view. We can't... Were you drinking it or something?
Yeah, I sipped it in. Of course, Honeybee said, is that a soda that I'm drinking? Because I've been actually... I'm trying to decide whether I'm going to do this full detox thing of like 60 days, or if I'm going to like transition into like some type of vegan type of thing. I just need to detox, get all these toxins out of my body. Like, I've been sick too much, and I don't like being sick, so I need to boost my immune system. And all this negative food and nasty food and sodas and stuff is not good for me.
Okay.
But go ahead,
I'm sorry. Soapbox. Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for sharing, Damien. Yes. So, yeah, I was educated on Dr. Sebi because I have vegan friends in my life who brought his, the diet that he envisions that people need in order to have healthier lives to my attention. So I've known about that for a couple years, and all that was going on with that. And then when he was... Well, I almost said when he was killed. When he died, I did have strong feelings about him being killed. So it made me want to know more and educate myself on what he was doing in the community. However, like you said, I really wasn't that shocked because people are being killed every day by individuals who just don't like the way they're talking to them, looking at them, or how they move. Mrs. Risher is saying that her mother was killed in the mass shooting 4 years ago. Yes, her mother was killed. The Charleston 9.
Yeah.
Yes, Mrs. Risher.
Hi, how are you, Miss Risher?
I know we love you. I love you, Miss Risher. I know your son, so I think she knows that. But I've never met Brandon's mom, but Brandon was on the show.
Right.
And so that's his grandmother. So, yeah, it's just the secondary trauma of that. I'm affected by that. I think sometimes I even have issues when people call me and tell me people they know have died, like of cancer and things, right? Don't you feel like you're reliving that a little bit?
Absolutely.
Your own personal...
if you had someone that died of the same way. Yes, absolutely.
Yes, cancer does that for me. It automatically brings up the memories of, like, helping the individual eat. In my family who was dying of cancer, my uncle was dying of cancer, and it brings up those memories distinctively whenever someone mentions to me that someone has cancer.
Right.
Yeah. So, anyway.
Okay.
There's that.
And that's what we mean by that secondary trauma. Getting those emotions that's kind of attached to someone that experienced some type of trauma or post-trauma. When we're talking about secondary, it's when you hear about it indirectly, whether that's through social media, whether that's a phone call, whether that's you just knowing or reading it in the newspaper or on the internet that someone passed,
right?
And you become overwhelmed with emotions like it's someone that's really close to you. And I think, especially when it comes to celebrities, we feel like we're pretty close to them because we see them in that light, and some we actually idolize. Whether that's like Michael Jackson, Prince, when they passed away, or when they passed away.
Woo, we
ain't gonna get started on that.
I got some kind of feelings about my Michael Jackson.
Yeah, we're not gonna go there. We're not gonna go there.
Right, because
that's for another day.
Wait, I was posting on the page and then I was like, Michael Jackson.
Yeah,
my trauma's starting to come out.
Yeah, so that's secondary trauma. It's not like you actually knew Michael Jackson, but you felt that emotion, that grief.
I had a strong connection.
Yeah. So, again, R.I.P., rest in peace to Nipsey Hussle and everyone that's been affected by senseless gun violence or any type of violence in our neighborhoods. And like I said, it's sad to say that it happens regularly, almost every day. And somewhere in the United States, someone is being killed by senseless violence.
Yes,
so,
everywhere.
Definitely R.I.P. to those people that have been lost in that manner. And, of course, we want to give our deepest condolences to those families and friends affected. So,
I know you like your agenda. I had a question, though, and it's off your agenda.
Go ahead.
Can we talk about, since we're into the element now of individuals who have lost a family member to violence, what is your take on the first steps in how to deal with the grief right? Don't we have to deal with the grief first before you get into even the subject of the actual violence, right?
Right. Right.
I want to know if someone was coming to you off bat, because we have Miss Risher on here, it just reminded me of that, and it stuck out to me. Someone who has actually lost someone in a trauma, gotten a phone call, right? If they come to you for therapy and say, I'm dealing with this, I'm dealing with that, such and such died, I can't go to work and focus, I'm thinking about this, my emotions are all over the place.
Right.
What is the first issue as a therapist you want to address with them?
Well, first you want to understand the significance of that person, for sure.
In their life.
And how that loss, of course, like you said, how it impacted them, but also understanding that grief is a part of that, and we're going to all experience those emotions in some way, shape, form, or fashion. We're going to experience the depressed mode. We're going to experience the disbelief, the shock. All those things are natural. Now, as far as the intensity and how long it lasts, that's truly dependent on the person and the supports that they have around them and their willingness to accept that person is no longer here.
Okay. That's good. Oh, good job, Damien. Somebody earned their degree. Okay. I agree. So there it is. So in your opinion, in your professional opinion, when you are seeing signs that person is not able to move through those feelings in a certain amount of months, let's say months, because it's not weeks, it's more like months, several months, you begin to try to figure out whether they are stagnant at a certain level of grief or something. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And depending on how long, and depending on their life overall, they may have experienced that one situation or that one loss, but they have like 50 other losses that they haven't accounted for that have been left unresolved. So all of those emotions have stockpiled, over time, and now
they're all unresolved.
Yeah, we're unloading all of this at one time. So that may take some time.
Okay.
That definitely may take some time. Yes, absolutely. And we're just reading Miss Risher's.
Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, because it was an international event. You had to process what happened. More than one family member had been killed. Okay, so let's talk about this, and then if you want to jump in with your point, sorry to take us off, but you're right. The media was crazy. Now it's your family, so that had to be a little more tremendous as far as day to day.
Right.
It's your family, and then her family was the center, also with the Nipsey Hussle thing of the media frenzy.
Right.
Okay. Just being someone who knew her son, it was a lot to even see him.
Right.
And we're friends.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like, are you okay? And it wasn't just about, when somebody's asking, are you okay? They're not always just asking for you. A lot of times they're asking for themselves, right?
Right.
I need him to tell me he's okay.
So that kind
because
of
it helps me. Yeah. It helps me cope with my secondary and third whatever trauma.
Right. Absolutely.
Well, Brandon looks okay. Everybody looks okay. All right. So maybe they're getting through it. And doesn't that help us? Okay. Yeah.
Help us kind of move forward along with them, and we know kind of how to support them.
Right.
If we see that they're making progress.
Makes you feel more comfortable.
Yeah, because if you're like just down in the dumps, it's really kind of hard for me to come and be happy and jolly.
Makes you more depressed.
And in that environment, my energy sometimes can be affected by your energy. So if it's way low, it's kind of hard for me to reach down there, and kind of
sometimes Damien's energy does affect me negatively, and you all have seen that if you view the couch.
Damn it, Dave.
Moving on.
But anyway.
Damien has loads of information for us. Thank you, Miss Risher, for sharing that.
I got loads of information. So I wanted to definitely talk about trauma and violence. And, for us, especially in the black community, black and brown communities, lower socioeconomic environments, it's pretty much an epidemic. Anywhere that you go, any state, any neighborhood that's poverty-stricken, usually it's going to have more than likely 9.9 times out of 10, it's probably riddled with violence. So we need to kind of learn, and we often seek to kind of stop the violence and hope that it kind of decrease. However, we never truly highlight the impact of the ongoing trauma that we experience. And for us, I guess in our neighborhoods, because we see it so much, we don't recognize it as trauma. You know, most people don't understand that. Growing up in the hood, you don't understand.
Trauma everywhere.
Yeah, you don't understand that hearing gunshots and not being hypervigilant when you hear those gunshots and you're just like, oh, that's normal. That's a problem.
You know, okay, I wasn't, all right, in Chicago, it's weird. It's kind of like D.C., and then I think Atlanta, where you can have a really, what you think is a safe neighborhood, right? And then a block away, it's like the hood. Okay.
Absolutely.
So I just want to be clear, and I want to definitely preface this with saying I would never categorize where I grew up as the hood, right? But 2 blocks over, I would. Yeah. And people who know where I live in Chicago would say the same thing. However, there is trauma not just hearing, for you maybe it was hearing that. For me, it was watching the news. So for me, it was saying, wait, isn't that the street we walk down to go to church?
Right.
Isn't that where I ride my bike? So it creates a sense of trauma where I'm looking over my shoulder in broad daylight because I know something has happened here. Not that I fear something necessarily is going to happen to me at any moment. But
subconsciously, that's what it does, though. When you're walking down the street, if you know that something happened,
you think about it.
You know, in this store, this particular bank got robbed yesterday. You're probably not going to go to that bank the next day.
You know, when I was, let me tell you this, because we've never spoken about this before, in the idea of secondary trauma. So when I was a kid, and most people that I went to elementary school with will know this story, but there was a family who lived around the corner from my house that the boy went to my school, and he was friends with my older brother. Right. And his father shot his mother, and then he shot himself. And there was an answering machine message when we got home one day. The little boy had left a message. My dad killed my mom. That's all I remember hearing. Was about 8 years old.
Right.
And so that house, you know, you're riding your bike, you will always pass that house. I knew that the woman got shot there, and I never wanted to see the house again. I wasn't scared or anything. I just didn't, I subliminally reared around it for years of my life, right? And then several years later, there was a husband that stabbed his wife to death in my same neighborhood on the doorstep. And I would wait for like Halloween to come around, and I would kind of want to see what the trick-or-treaters were doing around that house. Right. Just because I had some kind of trauma from it and some subconscious stuff going on. Like, I'm just interested in the house. Does that make sense? Wasn't really surface thinking. I can't tell you what I was really thinking, but I think that is trauma, and that is remnants of grief and confusion and like PTSD.
Definitely PTSD, and one of those main characteristics of PTSD is avoidance. You avoid putting yourself in those situations that could re-trigger.
I stayed away from emotions. That block when I was riding my bike. I just chose a different way to go all the time. Yeah. Avoidance is a part of PTSD, one of those symptoms, definitely. So one interesting fact, because you know I'm always about facts and statistics, I read something and it said that the homicide rate for Black Americans in all 50 states, on average, is 8 times higher than that of whites. 8 times higher. I almost said something controversial.
Go ahead, say it, because that's a controversial statement, right? Like 8 times higher than white people.
We are just killing ourselves off.
Yes.
That's what we're doing.
And it also says that U.S. residents are 128 times more likely to be killed by everyday gun violence than by international terrorism.
120 what?
128 times more. So you're more likely to get shot down. To be killed
by your neighbor.
Right. Right. Like that's crazy.
Basically.
Like, and you know, again, like I said, in our community, we're definitely the economic status of where you at is directly correlated with violence. Research has always shown
and the probability of you potentially being killed by a bullet.
Poverty, inequality, segregation, you know, all those systemic issues that we kind of encounter on a regular basis impact violence because when you feel hopeless and you feel like you can't get out of that trap, and that's why they call some hoods the trap. When you feel trapped and you feel hopeless, it often takes me back. I don't know if you ever saw Juice.
I did. It was so long ago.
So
wait, I can't watch that type of stuff because I'm traumatized.
So Tupac says at one point in time in the movie, he was like, I know I ain't shit, and I'm never gonna be shit, and when I feel like you're not gonna be shit, then I'm just gonna kill you. So that exemplified hopelessness, caring about your fellow man, or humanity, or life in general. Because if I don't care about my life, damn sure not gonna care about yours.
Do you not think that comes from the inability to see further than the situation?
Absolutely.
It's so difficult.
Again, it's a trap.
I've got a client, now that a young client who is really trying to do the right things. And I just find that, sometimes it's like you said, what's the point in buying that when someone's just going to drop cigarette butts on it and ruin it? And I said to her, everyone you invite over to your house isn't going to ruin your couch. And she just looked at me so confused, and I realized she's so pigeonholed into the frame of mind of I've grown up in a place where no one cared about things that I'm trying to convince myself they don't matter. Does that make sense? She can recognize nice things and say, that's nice, but she'll go as far as to say, I'll never have that and I don't want it.
Right.
Because it'll be ruined.
Exactly. What is really it's not mind-boggling. It's just it saddens me. Like, this is really a tough issue for me to discuss, as you guys can kind of tell. But back to my statement when I said 128 residents. Did I say that? Or 128 times?
Percent.
More
likely.
Yeah, 128
times. Okay,
times.
let me know I'm helping you.
But for black people, it's 500.
That's not funny. Listen.
We're 500 times more likely to die from gun violence.
African Americans are 500 times more likely to die of gun violence than any other race?
Yes.
Okay, I have to post it now. I have to let people know. Please share this statistic.
Please share
this. African Americans are 500%.
500 times, yeah.
500 times. That's 500% more likely, isn't it?
If you want to say it like
500 times more likely to die from gun violence. First of all, I hate to say this on the air. I almost said something inappropriate. First of all, make sure I have my strap. So I can defend myself when one of these 500 times more likely situations comes across. That is horrible. So I don't know what to say. I'm overwhelmed. That's a lot.
It's a lot.
Okay, that's a lot.
And so when you're in a community that has those higher rates of gun violence, you tend to show slower economic growth as far as like retail, businesses, things like that, and your value of your home definitely depreciates, or it's slow to appreciate because of the fear that you have that something traumatic is going to happen.
Is it gun violence or any kind of violence? Gun violence. Okay.
Definitely gun violence. Just everyday gun violence. So it affects families definitely, and families of victims and survivors of gun violence often, experience financial crisis, whether that's inability to pay their rent, utility bills, just because of lost earnings and high medical bills, which is very interesting to know. But that's which again puts you back in that cycle. You don't have the money to survive and take care of your basic needs, and
I almost said something
that goes back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You got to have your basics, then your next step is safety. If you don't feel safe within those basic needs, then your security comes in the form of violence.
I almost said something so inappropriate because I know we have different cultures of viewers. I almost said move me into. But I'm gonna be careful. With neighborhoods I am in and around, and have my son in and around.
I understand that because I have children as well. Yeah. But at the same time, I think that we have to, as a whole, and we're going to get into how do we kind of help fix this systemic issue, but reinvesting in those communities that are poverty stricken.
Okay, that's what I like.
But you don't have to be like right there in the hood to say that I'm from this hood and I gotta stay here because I gotta represent my hood. Like that really doesn't make sense.
I mean, you know the work we do. I mean, I'm saying people don't. Everybody doesn't know me, but the point is that the work we do, we started off in them hoods. Okay, listen, I was delivering. Let me talk about this because I'm real with y'all. I was delivering therapy to a kid on West Boulevard, and I will never forget in the middle of a Monopoly game with an 8-year-old, I heard gunshots. When I tell you, I was under the couch so quick, and the kid was just sitting. No, listen, because it was outside the window.
Okay.
And first of all, like we just discussed, I wasn't used to hearing that often. The last time I heard gunshots, I was like in college, like heard them in my vicinity.
Right.
So I had hit the floor so quick, and the kid never budged. The kid was kind of like, Miss Jackie, what you doing? What you doing down on the floor? But
he became
he was used to it.
Yeah.
He was so used to it. Okay.
Right.
But Damien and I are used to delivering mental health services in these areas. So I always would tell somebody where I was going to be. Before I went, because I never knew who would mistake me for a social worker or someone else. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and I had to dress a different way to go into the neighborhoods.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I've been in these neighborhoods, and like I said, I live around the corner from some little more harsh streets. However, that wasn't, my stomping ground. I knew to stay away from certain areas at certain times in the day. I'm not going to go ride my bike after 5 o'clock when the street lights are coming down. Stuff like that. But, that trauma is real. But no, I'm telling you, that's my personal decision that the likelihood is less if I move my family out of an area that seems a little more element driven, if you will. Yeah. But that's a more, correct way to say that. But yeah, I'm not going to be in the midst of it and then wonder why it's happening. You know what I'm saying?
So I definitely wanted to kind of, I guess, highlight or give our viewers and listeners a brief synopsis of what post-traumatic stress disorder is.
Okay, go ahead.
I was actually waiting on you to give them something to kind of bounce back off. But, like we said initially, you tend to avoid situations that often trigger those traumatic events, like in your mind. But for some people, and this is not just for veterans, like people often associate PTSD with veterans of the military.
Domestic violence?
All of that. People who've been abused, all of those things. But like I said, a lot of us experience, PTSD regularly and we don't even know what it is. That person that has, a guy may have been shot at several times or something like that, or in a gang or whatever the case may be, and now he's more on guard. He's more aggressive. He's more irritable. He's very short-tempered. Things like that. Those are also signs and symptoms of PTSD. It's not just anxiety-driven.
I feel like a lot of us have it.
A lot of us have it, and it goes undiagnosed.
I know some of y'all got PTSD. Yeah. Just by the way y'all respond to people.
I understand,
the simplest thing to you.
wanting to be safe, because that's one of those basic things as far as needing your basic needs. Then you have your safety needs. So walking around and having, your pistol on you or something like that, it's for safety, but it's also out of fear.
Let me ask this question. Do you think a lot of neighborhood violence stems from individuals who have PTSD actually wind up becoming the shooters?
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that, 100%. Because when you experience something traumatic, then you're always going to be on guard. You're going to be quick to pull that trigger because you don't want it to happen to you. You've seen your best friend
your
or
brother,
or your brother, sister, parent, whatever, get shot or get harmed in some type of way, and you're like, no, that's not going to happen to me. So I'm always going to be on point. So that in itself could be a form of post-traumatic stress disorder or anxiety.
Oh, man.
So we have to take a closer look into the mental health side of things and not just say that it's black on black violence and all this BS that people call it, because I honestly think black on black crime is a myth. It's a myth because I think violence is based on proximity. We don't travel outside of our neighborhood to go harm someone else that's of another race. when we
it's
do
not
violence,
funny, but the way you said
when we do violence, we're doing it within our neighborhood because we're in close proximity of these people. They're a block away. They're 2 blocks away.
So do you think it's black on black or black impoverished? I mean, it's
we're
about the
majority.
the opportunity.
So it's Asians on Asians, whites on whites. You know, it's not a black on black thing. It's not an academic. I think
they like to say
epidemic.
It flows easier than Asian on Asian.
Right. Or white on white. Like, we do it all within our community, which is a destruction of our community. You understand what I'm saying? So it's not like, prime example, I saw a post where they said people get so amped when someone is shot. Let's say Nipsey was shot by this guy. So they gung-ho to go find this guy and go kill him. But when Trayvon Martin gets shot by this white guy,
who's walking around with GoFundMe pages,
right?
I saw T.I.'s post. What did he say?
You see what I'm saying? Like nobody's going for him. Mm-hmm. So again, it's based on proximity. Don't believe the hype. You know, black on black crime is strictly a myth. Violence is based on proximity, guys. Okay, so wherever you are, and wherever you are mentally and physically, that's where you're going to show those emotions.
Now is a good time for our disclaimer about Damian Harmon's opinions.
It is what it is. That's my opinion. I'm good with that.
Okay.
You know?
You can have it.
Mm-hmm.
Next.
So, again, and this is just another statistic that was done actually in Chicago at Cook County Hospital.
Uh-oh.
They said
Cook County.
More than 4 in 10 patients screened for, gunshot victims have been screened for PTSD, and 4 out of 10 of them met criteria for it.
4 out of 10 gunshot victims have met criteria for PTSD.
Yep.
Which would mean, this would mean that half the people out here shooting need therapy.
Yes.
And had they had it,
the
death toll will come down greatly.
Absolutely.
Do you know what's interesting? Let's intertwine this in past shows. Let's go back to the show we did where we mentioned Donald Trump and him taking away the mental health ban for purchasing a firearm. So what we've just told you, if you can piece it all together, is that basically half the people, almost half the individuals who are reported, I guess, who came through Cook County, who were engaged in gun violence, suffered from PTSD. So look at these people as individuals who need to be treated mental health wise.
Right.
Had they been treated and diagnosed, they wouldn't have been able to purchase firearms.
Right.
If most of those were purchased, they wouldn't have been able to purchase them. Okay, if they got them off the street, they just lucked out. They got them on the street.
Right.
But they wouldn't have been able to purchase the firearms to commit the crimes. But if you think about it, they all would have some type of mental health diagnosis, and that might prevent them in the future from purchasing firearms. But thanks to this, the reneging of the ban, it is speaking of nigging, reneging. That's so inappropriate. I almost said something else inappropriate, but since the reneging of that ban, it's made it more likely that these numbers will grow.
Yeah,
that there will be more individuals engaged in violence who have PTSD.
And
other diagnoses.
Yes, absolutely. PTSD, depression, increased substance abuse.
Yes.
A lot of people who deal with trauma and anxiety often are higher percentage-wise with engaging in, substance use, whether that's marijuana, alcohol, pills, or whatever the case may be. They tend to have more than one, just PTSD, and that's it. It's usually something else that comes along with that.
Sure.
So, in speaking of that, when you experience trauma, there's generally like 2 different outcomes, right? For the most part. Either you're going to become a shell of yourself.
A what?
A shell of yourself.
Wait, I'm trying to go along with that. I couldn't help it. Oh, Lord have mercy.
Oh my God. So it's like 2 extremes. You're either going to become really hard, and that's when you get,
a shell of yourself. A shell of yourself.
A shell of yourself, right? So you're going to either withdraw so much that you just tend to isolate yourself from being sociable towards others, or you're going to migrate yourself to become more harder than you normally would be. And when I say hard, tough, you're talking about just walking around with your pistol. Protective, wanting to fight, ready to go at any point in time.
That's the problem.
You see what I'm saying? And that's what we tend to end up doing, because in our community and in our upbringing, in our social conditioning, especially with black males, you know, we're not taught to be vulnerable and don't show any weakness. So if we experience something traumatic, we're going to tend to be more harder. Like, whatever you want to do, let's go. I'm ready to go.
More hard?
More harder.
More harder.
More harder. And, of course, both of those extremes are definitely unhealthy. You know, isolating yourself and being afraid to step outside your door is definitely not a healthy thing for you to do, because you need to be in social environments. That's just one of our needs, for sure. And, again, like I said, the media kind of portrays gun violence as this epidemic, or they kind of correlated with military, because they said, what did they say? They call them war zones. And that's the reason why they call them war zones, because in war, you're just going to be in it, and you just kind of be on edge all the time. The
media says a lot of things.
Yeah. So, you know, people caught in crossfires and all this stuff. It's a ripple effect, you know.
I think a lot of their language is built to drive fear.
Absolutely. Everything that we do is based off of fear.
I mean, that's just my ideas on a lot of the media.
Would you agree with that? That everything that we do on a daily basis is based out of fear? You go to work because you fear being homeless. Right? I mean, but for real. Like, so if
you fear being homeless.
you want to have money in your pocket because
do y'all go to work because you fear being homeless? I want to know.
Otherwise, we wouldn't go to work. I mean, especially a job that you don't like.
I do this because I love it. Moving along.
Right. Exactly. So, what? I guess maybe just looking at, again, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. They're based on 5 or actually 6 different levels. Where we have the physiological needs. That's just your basic need of food, shelter, clothing, things like that. When you don't have that, what do people tend to do? They tend to involve themselves in something illegal or some type of crime. And that's usually in low poverty-stricken areas where you don't have food. You're going to get some food by any means necessary.
Well, it's survival.
Yeah,
it's a survival mode.
Exactly. You automatically go into survival mode. So a lot of people get stuck in that particular need. And that's the bottom of the bottom. Like, you're focused on yourself.
Well, that's where it comes in, how to move towards resolving these type of issues. Where
Absolutely.
I do agree and am very in admiration of Nipsey Hussle and what he was doing in the community. How he said, "Hey, this is a strip mall that I got kicked out of, so now I own it." Yeah. So he could create different experiences for people in that neighborhood, and then filter out into other things, which makes it even more sad, really, because that is really the model for community enrichment, in my opinion. You know, where it can start. To go back to these places and then to rewrite the stories so that the same cycles don't continue to happen.
And the crazy thing is, he was hiring people within that community. He didn't bring anyone in. You know, he was hiring people that was from South Central, like grew up in his neighborhoods, and you know, giving them opportunities. And I think when someone has that feeling of self-worth, you know, they're less likely to engage in something that could be damaging to their health or their life, because they have a reason to live. You know, most cats, you know, have that sense of hopelessness. They don't care. Like I said before, they just don't care about their life. So of course they're not going to give a damn about yours.
That's one thing I like about where I work, you know, because we work with the kids in day treatment. I like the fact that the kids feel comfortable enough because they're encouraged to tell us when things are wrong. Right. You know, there was a kid, I was really glad today. The kid's been giving me a hard time for weeks, but I was really glad today when the kid said, this person in my family doesn't have food. They don't have food. And so when the kid said that the session was over, I made the food referral. I'm going to pick it up tomorrow. I mean, these are the necessary things. Well, yeah, and then it's part of what we do. So it's second nature. Like, you need a food referral, so let's get somebody to do it. It needs to be done by the company, so let's get it done. So there's that. But the fact that a lot of these kids out here feel like they have an obligation to help their families, and then they're being told, don't tell anybody. So then they're doing secretive things that are mainly illegal a lot of the times, okay?
Stealing.
But our kids come out and they'll tell me, like, I feel like stealing. And I like when they tell me that. I will talk to them about how it is the feelings that drive them to feel like that, and then what the gratification they feel they're going to get, and how it's so temporary, and then what may really happen as a consequence, and then what do you really need. So once they tell me what they really need, the same student told me last week, I need clothes. I asked her what size. She told me what size. After she told me she feels like stealing. So I got on Facebook and asked if anybody had these size clothes. We're going to continue to get the kids what they want. In my mind, that's my way. When the kids tell me they need something and I give it to them, I just feel like, hey, it's not that serious. It can be done. And if it keeps them from walking across the street to the strip mall, stealing, getting arrested, and having a record, just get them the clothes.
Absolutely. So that I guess that segues us into this part as to how we can, as a community, as individuals, kind of help reduce this epidemic of untreatable, well, I'm not going to say untreated anxiety and post-trauma. Like you said, definitely socially just becoming more involved, and especially as a therapist, being able to develop those relationships with those individuals and being able to process those emotions. Hey, if I don't have food, I'm going to figure a way out, especially as a child, they don't know.
Because I know they will.
Right.
Fortunately, ours will tell us.
Yeah. And being able to be that middle person that can actually provide for them, or at least reach out to resources that can.
That's right.
Make them aware that, stealing doesn't necessarily need to happen, or you don't have to harm this person. Because you want their Jordans, you don't have to kill them to get their Jordans.
I thought about Ezel on Friday when he said, I steal, I don't kill.
I steal, I don't kill. But, systemically, we have to reinvest into our communities to where people have a sense of hope and pride. And when you're in that position, or you have that mindset, then you tend not to be violent towards your fellow man, especially your neighbor. And again, you guys, we have to change policies and be advocates, for individuals. These communities are, everybody wants to live in a nice neighborhood, but when, again, I hear this a lot, and I have conversations about this a lot, as far as when you go in these neighborhoods and it's just run down and they just don't care. And you said something about, someone not wanting to purchase fine, furniture because they know it's going to get tore up. Things like this. We have to be able to change that mindset to where, this is your community. You take care of your community. You take care of your piece of the pie. Your apartment, your neighborhood, your building, whatever it is, take pride in where you stay at. Regardless of how big it is or how small it is, that's where you are at that present moment. So nurture it, and hopefully that'll build up, again, the value of that neighborhood. That's going to increase businesses, to where people that are out of work are able to obtain, employment, things like that, and just, change the cycle of the thought process that we do have.
Rewrite the story.
Yeah, rewrite the story, definitely.
Yeah.
So, again, one thing that we didn't talk about, which is a whole different other topic, is one thing that I did read, and I'm pretty sure everyone knows this, but the decrease in fathers being in the home contributes a lot to the violence that plague our communities. Research has shown when you have a two-parent household, or the father is involved, you're less likely to involve yourself as a child, adolescent, in violence and gangs.
I think, can I tell you something? I think that's I think we could start off season 3 with that, because I think we need to, because I don't think that's just one topic on its own. Like, it is related, honestly, to the idea that, the black families are not as likely to, the parents are not as likely to be married in the household.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you start out with that, if you're not as likely to be married, then you're likely at some point to split. There's no legal commitment. There's no long-term commitment there. So it's easier to leave. It's easier to leave any relationship when you're not married to the person you're with, whether you got kids or not.
And I think it's more so of that impact is a little bit different versus these two parents are co-parenting, and this child is being able to see the love and the nurture from both ends. I understand.
You know what I mean? It's not that popular in our community.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
And it's a systemic issue, whether it's planned, by the powers that be to destroy the black family, because that's a powerful unit.
What powers that be?
We can talk about that all day, but I don't want Facebook to cut us off because they're listening.
Okay.
But there are definitely programs that reinforce fathers not being in the home. Whether that's Section 8, whether that's public housing, whether that's food stamps, whether that's Planned Parenthood. There are a lot of different programs that are specific for women and children, not families as a whole, to include the father. So they're actually giving you, blueprints and benefits for not having a father in the home.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? So that's a total different conversation, you guys, to have, and the thought process behind that and how that impacts relationships. You're like, I don't need you,
Okay.
But you better send that child support check. You know what I'm saying? That type thing.
Well, I want to share something, okay?
Yes,
on the heels of the fact that we're about to close out in a few minutes. And the Nipsey Hussle stuff we're talking about, and how we're talking about the positive things that he is doing. I'm sorry. My ring is on the table.
Yeah, he is doing.
Okay. Well, that he was. Well, no, yes, because they still will. Yeah, things will survive. So the things he's doing can be, and how we can make a difference. A friend of mine, Darren Armstrong, he sent me a link to Black Tech Charlotte, and Black Tech Charlotte is for children to learn coding and other elements of STEM and stuff like that.
Right.
So parents in Charlotte, if you're interested in getting your kids into coding and STEM stuff, you need to look up Black Tech Charlotte. Okay.
Black Tech Charlotte.
I think they're meeting at libraries, but it's BLK Tech Interactive on Instagram.
Okay.
BLK Tech Interactive.
You gotta share this information.
I'm gonna share that. I'm gonna put it on the page too.
Absolutely. And again, that's just a resource to, rewrite the story, as she said earlier so eloquently. Just rewriting the story, rewriting the narrative, bringing things back within our community, because when the black community is thriving, everyone is thriving. All cultures, the United States overall thrives when we do well. When we're not doing well, that widens the gap financially, from housing, from a mental health standpoint. The disparity widens when we're not financially in a good place. Like we talked about last week with Dr. Natasha, shout out to her, with her program, the College Package program, just teaching adolescents and parents about, loans and credit in regards to schooling and getting yourself prepared, because it's a journey, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. We have to implement different programs in our communities that's going to enhance, our own. We're not saying that, other cultures don't matter, but, I'm black first, and I want to make sure that my black people are good. It's not that I'm against white people or I don't like white people or whatever.
No, we're not against white people.
But, I'm black, so I want to see people like me do well.
Right.
So let's get out here. Let's make some positive change, you guys, individually, from a mental health standpoint, from a social context as well. And let's make this change, because this right here can't continue. It can't.
Well, on that note, this was a good topic.
Yes, it was.
To end season 2.
I can definitely talk about this all day.
I see.
Again, this is the end of season 2.
This has been a good season, though. These have been interesting topics. I mean, we started out with R. Kelly and his shenanigans.
Yes,
we did.
The first show.
We started out with R. Kelly and his damn shenanigans and all that, and you know, those type of traumas.
Right.
How to protect your children from abusers and perpetrators. Right. We talked about substance abuse and, you know, all of that, and many other topics. How to prepare your kids for college.
Yeah.
We have talked about relationships.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Go back to YouTube and view those episodes on relationships. Please help yourself, help somebody else. Yes,
absolutely.
How to avoid toxic relationships, how to get out of one, how to move through one.
Yeah,
and then hopefully at the end of the day, you all are just like taking care of yourselves better. You know to look up a therapist on Psychology Today. If you're not in our area, you can find any therapist in your area that might suit your needs on Psychology Today.
Absolutely.
I just wanted to throw that out there.
Absolutely. But if you're in this area, definitely go to thecouch704.com. Absolutely. IG, Facebook, thecouch704.com. You know, we're still here. You may not see us live, but we're definitely going to be still throwing out nuggets there. You may see some videos, but it's not going to be live for the next
till May.
Weeks. Till May. We'll be back.
The first week of May.
First week of May, we'll be here. So we're not gonna. I'm not gonna say I'm gonna miss you guys. So I'm definitely be interactive.
I'm gonna miss the live situation and.
I'm not, because I'm not. Gonna I'm not gonna say "damn it, Jackie" every week.
I need a break from that. I need a damn vacation. So I'm going on spring break. So we need a break. But it has been a good solid 3 months, and then we'll be back, I assume, for another 3 months.
Yeah, we're going to have some new and exciting things coming your way, definitely. We're always looking at progression and making the couch bigger and better. So definitely make sure you guys spread the word.
Aren't they supposed to be voting for us somewhere?
Yes, absolutely.
Can you solicit some votes?
Yes, absolutely. Go on our Facebook page. There's a post. I'm going to repost it. I'm going to pin it up at the top as an announcement.
Yeah, we need to put that out
Make sure you guys vote for us as Clinicians of the Year, Community Organization of the Year, whichever one. It really don't matter. We can take them all.
Just vote for us.
We can do a sweep. You know, give us an award for the couch.
Yes.
So we can put it back here. We can hang it up somewhere or something like that.
Tammy will put the image on a T-shirt.
I sure would.
Like he's done every other image.
Sure would. Definitely, but I'll definitely put that on the website as well as on the Facebook platform and Instagram as well. The link will be there. Please vote for us, you guys. That's pretty much it.
Okay. Well, right, it's been real.
Yeah, it's definitely been real.
Next season.
Absolutely. Hopefully it'll be warm. You can cut out this cold and warm.
I have on my shorts today.
She got on shorts today.
It was 77 degrees.
But it was snowing yesterday.
It was 77 degrees. I was ready. I got the skin out.
Really?
Anyway.
Damn it, Jackie.
Whatever.
Well, you guys, thank you for tuning into The Couch Where Your Mental Health Matters. We definitely had a good conversation today. We're going to continue to have these conversations because definitely your mental health matters. So can we talk? So we're signing out here from Jackie, a.k.a. Damn It Jackie. You know what I'm saying? It's your guy Dane. Of course, not your average therapist. Of course, that's what I am. That's what I do. I'm not average. We're not average.
You talk so much.
Go
ahead.
So, we'll see y'all. Peace. May 1st. Check us out. Peace. Take it easy.